Hello and welcome to NextOppSocial. We are your hosts, Richelli Wright and Juwan Buford. We believe entrepreneurship is empowerment, and we are committed to the development and progress of entrepreneurs, providing you with the information you need to build a thriving business. And today we are very excited to welcome back Jamie Gabriel. Jamie, we're so excited to have you here again at NextOppSocial. So even though we've done a deep dive before on you and your story, but for those people who are new or watching or learning about you for the first time, we're going to have you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got started in entrepreneurship.
Okay, well, thank you again for inviting me on. It's a pleasure to make another appearance with the both of you. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jamie Gabriel. I usually start with the boring part of who I am attached to other people, but today I'm going to start with who Jamie is. So Jamie is a woman on a mission, unapologetically, and I am in the pursuit of happiness, encouragement, building, edifying, and entrepreneurship in its totality. And so, what does that really mean? It means taking a leap into deeper waters of the unknown, but learning and journeying to be my best self along the way. So, the other part of Jamie is I'm a wife, I'm a mother. I recently completed my MBA during the pandemic last year, and I'm a site manager for a block and paver plant, and I'm an unorthodox speaker and coach. And yeah, the list can go on and on and on, but we can move on to something else today.
I love it. I love it. So, Jamie, there's a little bit more audacity in you since last time we conversed, right? And that's part of the reason why I was so excited to have this conversation with you again. Because I remember several months ago when we first began talking about entrepreneurship. And, tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was important to you. I knew financial independence and freedom were things that mattered to you. But on the scale 1 through 10, 1 being it's important, it's great, but if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm good with it. On this, and a 10 being I need it like I want to breathe, right? Like if I don't get this freedom right now, I am suffocating and I'm going to go postal, right? I must. And I felt like when I conversed with you, it was more like a 5. Like you were in there, you were kind of like, I need to get free, but it doesn't need to happen right this moment. And then last time I spoke with you, you were like on an 8.5. And I was like, whoa, right? That's a big transition,
Yeah.
And usually it's something catastrophic that happens in someone's life. Usually it's some type, that someone loses a job, have to take in a sick parent and expense and time. It's just stuff like that transpires. That wasn't necessarily the case with you. And then, of course, when I saw your project, I was like, oh, I get it now. She's like inspired. That's what this is. This is inspiration. If you don't mind, share a little bit. What did that process look like for you? And of course, talk about the project you're working on.
Okay, so yes, you're right. It went from 5 to like 8.5 in a matter of months.
Mm-hmm.
And it was due to this sense of urgency and reflection of what happened during the pandemic.
Mm.
What we tend to do is allow others to create our narrative, situations to create our narrative, and then we're just like feeling as though we're stuck because someone else created a narrative that we feel we have to live up to. And I thought about it and thought about it, and I says, I can't continue to live in someone else's narrative of me because I can't live up to that narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to create my own. So in that process, I knew it was time for me to take a mental leap, an entrepreneurial leap, an emotional and spiritual leap to do what I know I was created to do, which is to build, encourage, and edify others and support on levels that I haven't done in the past. So my inspiration for that was as I watched several small businesses talk about what they needed, how they were going to stay afloat. And I was in my cushy situation of, hey, I have a full-time job that can fund all of my endeavors and do whatever I want to do. But I looked at those entrepreneurs as like, I don't have that cushy situation going on. And this is my livelihood. I am all in. This is what I need to do. And I was like, wow, I'm playing the fence, and it's pretty easy to have both worlds and then look at someone who's doing entrepreneurship and say, well, can you just get it together? And you can't tell people that, right?
Mhm.
Because that's not their life. They live and breathe what they're doing all day, every day.
Mhm.
So part of me said, okay, what does that life really look like? And I took a moment and I started to work on a project because I wanted to support local businesses in the Metro Detroit area, and support two really important causes, to me. So I'm going to do a little show of my project here.
Oh,
So
wow.
it is called the Moment of Reflections Resource Calendar. And why this is so near and dear to my heart is because it's a calendar that allows you to create and start your year when you want to. We have been so confined to the new year. We start the new year on January 1st. We tell ourselves lies that we are going to lose weight, save money, change our heart, whatever it is. And 3 weeks in, we forget all those things we promised ourselves. We start to beat ourselves up. And for the next 2 or 3 months, we are stuck in this perpetual state of nothingness because we didn't achieve the things that we wanted to achieve. So I thought, what better way to say you control your destiny, you control your narrative, than creating a resource calendar that actually allows you to do that. You can put in your year, you can put in your dates when you want to. Not only that, you can erase it and start all over again. So it's interactive. It allows you to control your narrative. And then inside, it includes local artists, fashion designers, a milliner, makeup artist, nail artist, hairstylist, photographer, um, Black History Flex, financial literacy, community support systems, healthy choices, things that are resourceful to you, things that we take for granted on a regular basis. For me, it couldn't just be a typical calendar. It couldn't just follow the social norms of conformity. It had to be outside the box, and it had to allow you to create your narrative. And so, yes, that was like, okay, it challenged me to my core. Formatting, correcting the JPEGs and photos and the grainy. I was like, what the heck is all this stuff? This is not what I do. But it created a resiliency inside me that says, I cannot let these people down, that I decided to put into this calendar, because I also pay homage to all of the artists that worked on this project. They donated their time and efforts to this, and it had to showcase them in the best light possible. So that sparked like this enormous amount of joy and excitement to roll out a product um, that can live on for years and years and years to come. And people who may not be in the Metro Detroit area are experiencing this calendar across the United States, which is like, wow, okay, that was the impact I wanted to have on a local level. But now it's shipped out like across the United States. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now they get to know these local people in the Metro Detroit area that they would not have known prior to this project.
So I guess I just want to clarify, what's the timeline? What was the timeline that looked of like ideation to now the calendar's here? Because it sounds like to me it's happened very quickly.
So the idea started actually just after we were in lockdown. So I would say about April 2020. I wanted to support small businesses, and I didn't know. I says, how can I don't have all the money. If I had, $1 million, absolutely, I would drop 10,000 in whoever's lap who needed it. But I was like, I do not have that kind of money. So what am I going to do? And so I sat and I thought about it, and I prayed about it. How could I support local businesses with the talents and abilities and gifts that I have? And it came to me, a resource calendar. And I was like, well, what does that look like? And I'm like, I don't really know, but I started jotting some things down. So I am into fashion, and I like clothes and hats and shoes and baubles and all that good stuff, right? So I'm like, ooh, I have hats. I have outfits and made by these local artists. How about I showcase them, right? And so then I said, oh, I buy from this local store and I buy from this local store, and I can just put all of their outfits inside this calendar. And I was like, well, it can't just be fashion. Everybody does a car calendar or clothing calendar. It has to be something with substance. It has to be something where families can sit around the table and look at the information inside and say, how can we use this? So that's that teacher in me, that coach of how can we get people to their next levels. So as I started thinking about it, I go, what are we going to put? So each month I've purposed myself to reach out to community support leaders and say, hey, I would like to feature you inside this resource calendar. There is no cost to you. I just need the name of your organization, your logo, your information, and how people can contact you. People need to know that you're available. And started building that rapport with the different people. And then I looked at my daughters and I said, hey, what else should we put in this? And they're like, I think we should do some Black history facts. And I said, okay. So there's a card deck set from Urban Intellectuals. And I bought the card decks and I said, I don't want to do your typical Black history facts because those are always in our face and present. Let's do something a little bit different. So we went through and combed through, and I was like, okay. And we picked those out. Then I said, there got to be something else. There has to be another piece. So I was like, oh, financial literacy. People need to know how to save money. This is a great time. People are sitting at home. They don't know what to do. They need to know how to manage their money. When you have abundance, when you go from what you consider abundance to nothing, how do you manage that? And most people don't know how to bridge that gap. And I was like, we are going to be in a sad state as a country if we don't take some small steps on how to talk about financial literacy inside the family. So I was like, okay, that component. So I reached out to someone who is astute in that area. And I was like, I need 12 months of short, direct, informational pieces that people can use today. Not this 12-step plan of you're going to become rich, just some little things that you can do inside your household that could make a difference. And then I said, okay, well, you have to eat. And what are we consuming right now? So you got your physical, you have your emotional, you have the food that you actually eat, what you consume in your eyes and your ears. And I was like, okay, there has to be a food component. And it should be foods that are possibly renewable, that people could, build small gardens in their backyard if they needed to. So I reached out to a young lady who, she was like, I love it. Health and wellness, I'm all about it. I was like, yay. Then it was like, how are we going to lay this out? Because I can't have it be a 50-page, 60-page calendar. And then that challenged me. So I can tell you it wasn't like, okay, from concept to reality in a matter of months. It took time from April to about October, because we also had to wait until the pandemic kind of subsided so that I could actually take the pictures. So yes, I am. There are 12 pictures of me throughout this calendar because I could not afford to pay for a model, and they were all my clothes anyway. So
yeah.
What better way to do that? That also challenged me. So to do a photo shoot in one day with 12 different looks
Wow.
was new, different, challenging. But my project management skills came into place, and yeah, we got it done. So from April of 2020 to actually December of 2020, when I actually finally got all the final pieces together, because it's not just a resource calendar. There's packaging that had to go into it. I had to research the erasable ink pen. It comes with some elaborate stickers that you can put inside. And then there's also a more swag item that goes in it, depending on when you got the package. But yeah, I needed it to be something that was rememberable, that had layers, and that people would want to use. I didn't want it to be something that would just be tossed to the side as another calendar.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. You know, I gave a radio interview earlier today where the interviewer asked me, you know, what are the two things that individuals should focus on to first starting a business, right? And I talked about the importance of core values and the purpose of a core focus. Like, it's really hard to invest your life's energies in something unless those two things are present. And when I immediately looked at that calendar, I was like, these are just conversations I've had with her on numerous occasions. Like, we talk about this stuff, right? Financial literacy, you know, core value, core focus of yours, fashion, right? We don't talk that much about fashion, but I knew you were
No.
fashionista. But we do talk about health and wellness. And I was like, this is just her all day long. Like, this is one of these things where it was gonna manifest sooner or later. And then I thought about, okay, she's a project man. This is perfect. I mean, all these different moving parts. I mean, if there was someone for the job, it would be you, right? The fact that you're accustomed to managing projects on such a broader scale, that this was just like, I just looked at it and I was like, this is like, she gave birth to this. This is like, her essence is all through this. And then, of course, what I got really excited about is I'm a huge believer in mindfulness, right? And I know that it's just like a planner. Those of us who love planners, we use planners. Like, my planner, even when the rare occasion was not in use, it's still in use. It's in front of me all the time, right? And those of us who swear by calendars, it's the same thing. If you're a calendar person, you're going to carry that calendar everywhere. You're going to look at it every single day. And it creates a mindfulness about health and wellness. It creates a mindfulness about making smart financial decisions. It creates a mindfulness of a higher awareness that, you know, you're connected to a larger ecosystem and you have other entrepreneurs and other people who color your life. And quite frankly, they're very much reliant upon your financial well-being too, right? Your solvency. And of course, I mean, when I saw the pictures, I mean, I was like, these are some nice pictures. I mean, Jamie is like crushing it in these pictures. I was like, what was she, a runway model in another life? I mean, what is this all about? So I mean, it was. I love everything about it, right? So I guess a couple of questions I have, right? So you put the calendar together. I get that piece, and there's a lot of moving parts there, right? And I know Shelley will probably have more questions about that, even some commentary about it, these moving parts. But you know, when I look at the calendar, I think about the calendar the same way that I look at good content. You have a lot of good content creators out there, right? But the bottom line is, if you haven't figured out a way to distribute that content around the proper channels, and then if you haven't figured out a way to monetize that content, it's just content, right? That's it. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's only valuable to the person that made it, right?
Yes.
What did that distribution process look like for you in terms of getting the word out and then people be aware that you were doing this? And then the monetization side of it, like, where does that come into play?
So because this is a passion project for me, I fund all of it. So I fund all the printing, I pay for all the packaging, and what I charge for it is not it's a nominal fee, because the funds that are collected from the sales go to two special programs. One is for Encourage Me, I'm Young, for their Smash Suicide program. There are young boys at the age of 5 that are committing suicide.
Wow.
And there's not enough awareness around that. And then the other program is for Amazing Woman Network and their Red Dot Bags program, which is to end period poverty. There are women, the same women that you see in the food lines getting food and supplies for their family are the same women who need to take home sanitary napkins for themselves and their daughters.
Yeah.
And both of those items do not get showcased enough. We do not talk about it enough. And again, I don't have millions of dollars to donate to these organizations, but I felt that it was relevant that I could attach that to this calendar. Yes, I could be like, yeah, give me all the money, but it's not about the money to me. It is the passion behind driving the narrative, changing the narrative to the things that I find most important in my life, and encouraging other people to learn more about it, how they can shape it, how they can do it. So I challenged myself in the month of March, which is something that I was like, are you serious? We're going to do this. So for the month of March, 31 days, I had to force myself to post on multiple platforms. Okay, so most people who know me, I am very comfortable with Facebook. It's easy to use for me. I navigate, I do what I do, I get in, I get out. But I was like, okay, well, I have to go on Instagram. I need to go on Twitter. I need to go on LinkedIn. I need to go on Liveways. I need to go wherever I need to go to spread the word about this calendar, because I had specific goals of how I wanted to donate towards both of those organizations. So every day I found something that I could post about. It was that was about the subject matter. I did videos. I reached out to different people saying, hey, do you want to put this resource calendar? Because at first everyone's like, it's a calendar. It's March. Why are you still selling a calendar? And I'm like, it's not just a calendar. It is a resource calendar. And as I told the story and the reason behind it, they were like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to buy it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is why. And I didn't know what that was going to do to me. I did it out of a little bit anxiety, right? Because now I'm putting myself out there across these other platforms that I had not ventured into before, in its totality. And now I was exposed and vulnerable. What are people going to say? What are they going to think? Are they going to shoot this project down? And I said, I don't care what they say. I know my passion behind this, and I know why I have to drive this. No one else is going to drive it for me. It's my project. I'm passionate about it. And so I'm going to talk about it as much as I possibly can. So that was my challenge to myself. And I did it. And I was really proud of me, because then I had to figure out, okay, how many words can I actually use on Twitter? How many words I can use on LinkedIn? Had to find creative ways to create this social media presence that I've never done before to be able to still provide the information where it wasn't choppy and that it still captured people's attention. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this thing, because then it started selling. Another component was the use of my father. My father is a great salesperson. When I rolled the calendar out, he says, give me a stack of them. And I'm like, okay, Dad, they're supposed to just go and hit the QR code and buy it. He was like, just give me a stack. My dad took the calendars and said, hey, my daughter came up with this calendar. It is awesome. I need you to check it out. And this is what she's donating the money to. And he sold those calendars. And I was like, man, old school actually teaches us more than social media.
Yeah.
It was that personal touch that he provided that they were like, okay, they didn't have to wait and scroll through some other people's posts and things on Facebook. I didn't have to worry about if the algorithm was going to set me up for success. I had people on the ground that was believing and into this project so much that they went out and helped me to share this narrative. That was an impact again, I didn't know that it was going to happen. I was super happy that it happened, right? And Juwan, you said giving birth. Yes. Yes. There was a lot of labor pains. There was a lot of sleepless nights. There was a lot of, what is this thing going to be? Is it going to be what I need it to be? And is it going to yield what I need it to yield? And I was able to, that first month, be able to provide $250 to both organizations from the sales of those calendars. Again, like I said, I absorb all the rest of the costs. I am not even covering costs with what I'm selling it at, because it's not about that. It's all about the passion behind the projects, making sure that these organizations are uplifted and supported, and then getting those donations out to those two causes. So.
And because your background is so well versed in project management and on a large scale, on complicated scales, which everyone can go back and watch the first interview with Jamie to learn more about that, you know, but this was a very different project for you. So even though this is your wheelhouse of managing a lot of different moving parts and making it all work together, what are some of the things you learned along the way that surprised you as you were, that maybe you didn't think were going to be challenges, but became challenges that you were able to work through or learn from as you were putting this together?
So one of the major ones was, I do pride myself on the ability to be able to learn new software programs. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I know I'm going to need to do that, because this is not a Word document project. And so I was like, So I had dabbled in Publisher, and I was like, okay, let me see what that does. And I started working in it. Formatting had got into place and everything. And I thought I had it nailed. Everything was perfect in its place. And then it was time to convert it to a PDF. And I started getting all of these errors. And I'm like, I don't even know what this error is. What are you talking about? The stuff is in the place where it's supposed to be, but behold, it was not. There was, grid lines and things that I didn't see, right? So to the unlearned eye or untrained eye of using that software platform, I didn't know what I didn't know until I went to convert it into something else. So the person that I am, I said, okay, thank you, Google. Whoever came up with it, you were such a wise person. Okay. So Google and the help function. Why am I getting this error? Why won't it convert to this? Is it because of the version I'm using? Is it, what am I doing? So I get to a certain part and I fix it. Yay, that's awesome. Then I get to the next one. Nope, not so awesome. So again, the back and forth of, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what are you going to learn from this? So what I took away from that was, okay, you don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. You are going to have some struggles in the process, but nobody else knows when this is rolling out. So stop giving yourself such a hard time. You are the only person who knows your rollout date. So relax, step away, and come back. And I had to do that several times over. Yes, I'm a person who likes to get it done, but I wanted to get it done so right for the people that I was supporting that I went past my normal bedtime, which anybody who knows, I'm a stickler for my bedtime. But it pushed me, and it reminded me that once I really delve into the entrepreneur world, that this is what my life is going to look like. I won't have my quote unquote sleep time. I will, but I'll make those times a little bit different than what I had trained myself to do. So that was a major one. Another one, so you could take photographs, right? We all do that. We have that handheld camera in our hand, and we think we're selfie geniuses. And we've all become these, rock star photographers. Not until you go and get on a set where you have to change clothes, get your makeup touched up, hair changed, this and is this the right lighting? No, that's not the right position. Did I snarl just then? Uh, you know, that challenged me because yes, you can take pictures all day, every day, but it's totally different when you're in a time constraint, when you've not modeled professionally. So you don't know all the tips and tricks of turn your head this way and elongate this and don't scratch your eye with your eyeshadow coming off. So that challenged me because it wasn't just about the smile, right? It was like, okay, you got to have some poses where you're not smiling. You have to not look so mean. You have to, all these things. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot of work. We take models for granted. They have a lot of work to do. This is not as easy as it appears. So that was just, again, being able to connect with someone in their profession. I am not talking myself as a model. I am not. I'm a model citizen, but I am not a model on that level. So just being able to identify with the work it takes to do something that I wasn't traditionally accustomed to. And then the third thing was the ability to see my family participate in the project. That was the start of part of my legacy building. My then 14-year-old daughter was on the project with me all day. And she was doing cameo pictures throughout the project. I wanted her to see what it looked like to be on a photo shoot for a whole day with all these changes, not being able to just go randomly take a nap when you want to. This is work.
Yeah.
This is work. And she took it like a champ. She was a complete professional through the whole process. She captured some moments that I was just like, wow. And through the eyes of a 14-year-old, this is how she saw me. This is how she saw this project. And I would not, I didn't know that was what it was going to be, but it was absolutely amazing to then go back and scroll through the phone to see what she captured. So legacy building right there was so important to me, and she did an amazing job.
Yeah, you built those core memories that I'm sure are going to carry her into her own passion projects. And when she hits those difficult moments, she can look back on this and just really see what drive and passion really means and what it can do, right?
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I mean, for me, like I said, this was so fascinating because I had a good idea of where you were at when you started this journey, right? So watching you for me was almost like a case study. Like I was paying attention to your posts. I was paying attention to the things you were doing. I was kind of watching the project unfold. And this is really interesting. And you've shared some things that I really want our audience to take inventory of. When you're starting an entrepreneurial endeavor, number one, you talked about the ideal of not really spending too much time allowing the BS.com to dissuade you, right? People with their opinions and perspectives trying to color your experience. I got to imagine a lot of those individuals weren't even entrepreneurs, right?
No.
It's always amazing how the non-entrepreneurs always want to give advice about entrepreneurship. It's like, okay, phenomenal. So in any respect, the other thing that really caught my attention too, and it was an eye opener, it inspired me, is you were like ubiquitous for a moment. I mean, every day I looked up, and I'm on a couple platforms, and I would just see your stuff. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, did she hire? Like, I mean, it was, but that's what's necessary, in entrepreneurship. It's about that massive. If you want massive results, you gotta have massive all-out action, right?
Yes.
And I saw that, and a lot of people, they want to tiptoe in entrepreneurship. I'm like, no, this is not something. This is not like getting in the pool, man. You need to, when you make the decision, you got to step on the pedal, right? And I saw that, right? The other thing that I'm listening to is a lot of times people don't respect entrepreneurship, right? Just because you were successful in one field, or even successful in another entrepreneurial endeavor, don't think for a moment. It's like a basketball player that is incredibly gifted at basketball, but then tries to jump to the boxing ring. Yeah, you're athletic. Yeah, you have some base skills and some things, but that's a different ball game, right? You got to learn new skills. You better respect the craft. Like people who are succeeding, they've developed a know-how and experience over the years that you don't have. And you know, it's like the new broom may sweep better, but the old broom knows the corners. Like they know the stuff that you don't know. And the fact that you were willing to take the time to kind of learn some of the things that models have to do to become experts at their field. I mean, they're in the business of being beautiful. I mean, that's skilled trade. You know, the fact that you were willing to take the turn to learn a software program. I mean, to me, I just shudder to think about it. To my bones, learning new software. I just call it Shelly. I'm like, hey, Shelly, how do I do this? You know, like, how does this work? And then you talked about the new habits, right? Because I know you're a stickler about your sleep. And, you know, to be successful as an entrepreneur, I mean, if you want to get something new, you got to do different things, right? The definition of insanity is thinking you're going to do the same thing to get different results. You wanted this project to work, so you knew you had to inculcate different habits and involve the family and all these other things. I mean, this is like a phenomenal case study in entrepreneurship 101, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, it was so exciting and fun to watch it unfold. And I know you're going to take these lessons you learn and just crush it in your next project. So I know you have 2-3 other things in the fire too, that we don't have time to broach probably now. But I know there's a part 2 to this calendar that we talked about last time we were together.
Yes. So we are starting now building. It's a hats, fashion, and automobiles.
Mhm.
And it is surrounded by how can we get information that is not typical to the masses. And it's a project that I'm pairing with Celeste Couture Hats, and she's a milliner. She's a legendary milliner. And what
Mhm.
happens is we tend to push our legends to the back, right? If they've not achieved a certain level, yeah, people know about them, but they don't know about them. And the goal here is to showcase what millinery really is. It's a skilled trade that is not for the faint of heart.
Mhm.
Working with Celeste over the years have shown me that it is, man, all I can say is I wouldn't try to sit there and go like, oh yeah, I'm a hat maker. No,
Mhm.
it is not that easy.
Mhm.
And when you hone your craft and you can do what you do really well, people tend to downplay what you do, right? Because
Mhm.
they see the end result. They
Mhm.
don't see the process. They don't see the training. They don't see the networking. They don't understand all the nuances that goes into what you do and how you do what you do so well and so seamless and effortlessly after you've done all this for such a period of time. And so that project we're working on, I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. We're building up what the cars are going to look like and the hats and the period pieces and things like that. And it's exciting because it's also pushing me again to another project, a little bit more out of my comfort zone. Um, Gathering people who really love their cars that will allow us to be near their cars.
Mhm.
Car people. We might even have to put a little cloth on there so as we touch the vehicle that they're okay. But again, understanding and getting those stories from those people, right? I have nothing against car lovers because I absolutely love cars, and people were, as if Juwan, if you have been watching, I've been posting about a lot of cars.
Mhm.
And it's also part of this process, right? So how can you ask people to allow you to use their cars if you talk nothing about cars, if you show no interest in cars? I am one of those people that if it's something that I am going to go do, I want to learn a little bit more about it. I want to be able to have that conversation with you. Now, let's get this clear. I am not going to talk about the Hemi if it has dual exhaust and NOS and all that. I can identify those things, but I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of if you did an engine swap. Okay. I can appreciate you doing that and the look and feel of it, but I'm not going to get into those deep dive details. But yeah, I'm super excited about that project as well, and what's going to come of it. We are going to tie a charitable organization to that project as well, and I'm going to wait to disclose what that is, because it's really me assisting Celeste. It's not fully my project, so I don't want to give all that away at this time.
So the calendars, they're out there now, right? Some people,
Yeah.
they're in people's hands and they're using them. Have you
Yes.
gotten any feedback yet from, because it's similar to, you know, how you've said of like when it's a new year, we get excited, we put these resolutions together, you know, we're like, oh, we're really going to tackle this, and then it peters out, you know. But I think there's such a great balance with your calendar of, like, I use a planner that's a lot more in detail, for me to put down more thoughts and tasks and not just like appointments, right? But I close it, right? And now visually it's kind of out of sight, out of mind a little bit. And then I have, you know, physical calendar, but that to me is more appointment setting, right? And so I'm just mostly quick glancing at it. You're merging the two, not only, and then making it a very visual, like, I can't ignore this, right? It's I can see it all the time, right? Which I think is amazing about it, and is why your calendar should work for a lot of people. But have you gotten any feedback yet from some people who have started using it?
So some of the feedback that I received is that they put it back into the packaging because it was too nice to use. That's not the purpose. Then I've gotten people that said, hey, this is really cool that I can create my year when I want to. I'm not going to write on it because it's too nice to write on. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. But then there's other people that are using it. They love the stickers. Oh, I got stickers. I can do this. And what I like about that is because when we become adults, we stop allowing ourselves to be creative.
Mhm.
We shut down the creativity because we think I'm an adult, I must be rigid, I can only do this. And it's like, stop it already. Take some time and have some fun. Put some stickers on. Draw a little heart on something. Color a little bit. It's a stress reliever. Do something that's different than what you normally do. And so that was why I wanted it to be interactive. I've had people come back and say that financial literacy piece you put in there, that was awesome. And I'm like, well, you skipped ahead. You're already in December. I know, but it was fun. Some people they're just reading through the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. I didn't want to tell people how they needed to use it. I gave tips on how you could use it. And so, like I said, some people are putting it back in the packaging, not using it at all. Some people have put it and hung it up and are actively using it. And then some are just, you know, reading through the informational pieces that are there. So I think I've also had a few people who reached out to some of the support services that are listed inside there as well. So to me, it accomplished what it needed to accomplish. They now have some information that they didn't have before, and it sparked some conversations. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
It's also something that even like they, you know, if they have it, they clearly saw the value in it, but maybe it's not the season for them yet to use it, right? But they can't, it's not like this is just a 2021 calendar. You pick it up and use it whenever they hit those moments. Sometimes we have to have those, that moment comes in November, that moment comes in August, whatever, you know? So
Yes.
I think that's really such a unique and amazing part of this resource, you know, that it's ready when you are.
Exactly. As the creator of our own worlds, you create when you're ready to create, not when the world tells you to create. And I have said that and shared that with people over the years, and really didn't fully embody it until I started working on this project. because at first I was going to go to the rigid side of it has to be a 2021 calendar and it must have the dates because people won't understand that they can create their own world. Well, again, how do we change the narrative? We
Mhm.
change the narrative by providing something different, something that they haven't had before, to get that creative thought process going again, right? And to tell somebody that they can create their world is a sense of empowerment that I'm sure that they've not had since they was a young person. When you look through the world as a young person, you feel invincible. You feel you can take on everything you possibly can until someone tells you no. And so once we get our no jar that is so full, we start to shut down and conform to everything else that's around us because we've been told no for so long. Well, how about we say, hey, my year for me, my new year, my new fiscal year doesn't start until October when it's fall, the leaves are pretty, and now I have some time to embrace what this new world looks like for me. No, it may be fourth quarter for you, but this is my first quarter, and this is how I'm changing my world. That's a sense of power that no one really wants you to have because they want you to stay in that box. And you have to be able to blossom when you're ready to blossom. So that was so important to me to be able to create my world, live in my world, and adjust it when I need to.
It's amazing. So we're getting towards the end, and we have a couple questions we always ask, and we've asked these for you from you before, but we'll do them in a different context in relation to everything you've learned, over the past year, and especially in this project. So I'll pose it a little differently. So we normally ask just what is your superpower, but what do you feel is a new superpower that you've developed through this?
Wow. Okay, so the new superpower is that social media does not control my narrative.
Mm.
I control my narrative.
Mhm.
Yes, there are going to be people who love me, like me, hate me, trust me, distrust me, whatever it may be. But if I stay true to who I am as a person, and I know that the content that I'm providing reflects truly who I am, it doesn't matter. That was something that I allowed others to say, if you get on there, they're going to do that. If you get, and I was like, too bad, so sad. We're going to just take this on. We're going to do it because I wanted to yield results that I didn't have before. And it's not, let me stand corrected. I'm editing myself before I say what I'm going to say. It is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Mhm.
hard. It's a mind shift. It's a change, but I did it even though it was hard. I did it even not knowing if I was doing it right. And I did it without, I did it unapologetically. I just said, okay, if I did it wrong, so what? Okay, I'll learn from it. Or, you know what? People might just eat it up. They might just be like, oh my goodness, this is cool. This is something different. Or they might say, yep, she's a buffoon and we won't look at any more of her stuff. And, that's okay too. But I did it without having all the bells and whistles that at first my mind told me that I needed to have. You
Mm-hmm.
need to make sure you have this color scheme. You need to make sure that it has this font. You need to make sure it has this. And those were some of the roadblocks before my March 1st date showed up. That was getting ready to grip me so much so that I was going to stop doing what I was going to do. And then when I looked at my reminder of why I was doing it, young boys committing suicide at the age of 5, mothers and daughters, women not being able to have the sanitary needs to take care of their hygiene during a very important time of the year. I had to put all the rest of my anxiety and worries to the side and go after this mission.
Mm-hmm.
That was way more important to me than me falling on my face in front of the world. If I had to fall on my face in front of the world for these two organizations, that's what I was going to do. So that's my new superpower.
That's excellent. And it might tie, what you just said might tie into this next question a little bit as well. But if there's one important lesson that you'd want to leave our listening audience with regarding entrepreneurship and what you've learned already through this journey, what would that be?
It would be, it's okay to do it wrong.
Mhm.
Just learn your lessons. It's okay to do it right and still learn your lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely okay to do it where no one has done it before, where people are going to question what you're doing and your sanity, but just do it anyway. Just do it anyway.
Yes. Okay, so the big question, how can people buy the calendar and learn
Mhm.
more, about it? And then as well, what's the best way for people to keep following your journey, because more is to come, and get in
Right,
contact?
right. So definitely on Facebook. They can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn,
You're on all of them now.
Live Waves, which that's a new app that's out there as well. Alignable. Thank you, Jawan, for introducing me to that.
Mhm.
The resource guide is also available on beyourownbrand.com, and that is BEE, yourownbrand.com. And I will make sure that you guys get that so you can put it in post. And then I'll also provide the PayPal link as well, because sometimes people don't want to navigate through websites. And so I've just been providing that quick link that they can go directly to the calendar and purchase.
Perfect. We will put those links here in our show notes, so you can go and buy it. I know I am excited. I need this. I know I need this, and I'm going to use it. Use this calendar. It can still be pretty and be useful. We're going to keep continuing this conversation inside the NextOppSocial After Show group for weeks to come on Facebook. We invite you to join us there. The link is also going to be in our description on Facebook. You can go to Facebook, our NextOppSocial page, click community, and you'll find that after show group as well. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button here as well on YouTube, or visit our website at nextoppsocial.com. Thank you again, Jamie. This was great. We were so happy to have you again, and we're excited to see where this continues to grow.
Thank you again for having me. And as always, the gracious host of this show, and all the listeners and viewers. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.